In the past 1 year, I felt a really strong sense of being lost. Some may call it a quarter-life crisis, and maybe it is. I just didn't have a direction in my life, and I wasn't sure if I was on the right track for whatever that I wanted to do in my life. I didn't really have a goal that I was working toward. What I really wanted was a job that I'm really passionate about, one that I'm excited to wake up to every day. I also wanted it to be very meaningful, for it to maybe contribute to a cause or purpose that I feel strongly about. I had a long wish list of things that I wanted. The thing is, I didn't really know what my passion or interest was. So while I knew I wanted a change, I really wasn't sure what that change was going to be or how to go about getting that change. It took me a whole year and a whole lot of stumbling to figure out what that is. Today I want to share with you my process in trying to figure things out and break things down for you in a simple 4-step process that can hopefully also help you figure out what to do next in your life. The first step is self-reflection. Try to think about your interest. Here are some ways that you can try to narrow down your interest. You can think about maybe the kind of skills you prefer to use in your job, and think about what you're generally better at. And instead of looking at actual tasks that you like to do in a vacuum, try to think of it as a whole. You can try to consider these questions. Do you prefer doing creative work like designing, marketing, or writing? Or do you prefer more analytical, structural work like data science, coding, or just number crunching? Second question is, think about whether you like to be told what to do. Do you like to have a very clear guideline of expectations from you? Or do you prefer to have complete freedom and autonomy to decide what you want to do? Third, do you want to be a subject matter expert or do you want to be a generalist? Fourth, what kind of interaction do you like with your coworkers, your internal stakeholders, and your clients? Do you prefer to meet a ton of new people or do you prefer to work with the same smaller set of groups but have a closer and more intimate relationship with? And the last question is, you can try to think about the kind of work-life balance you want. Do you want to have a fixed BAU job where you work from 9 to 6? It's intense hours, but you put in the number of hours and then after you can switch off, clock off, and not think about work anymore. On the other hand, if you choose to have a flexible job, it might also mean working on the weekends, working on public holidays. For me, I was very sure that I didn't like creative work, and I tend to feel lost when I'm left to do unstructured work. I prefer to have a very clear guideline of the expectations that's required from me, and I prefer more analytical work and working with numbers. I do like interaction with people, but not so much because I'm an introvert, and hanging too much with people feels incredibly draining for me. In terms of whether I want work-life balance, I don't really like switching between work and personal life, so I prefer to have just an intense set number of hours where I only think about work and I only do work, and then after that I want to be able to switch off and do my own stuff. In that case, a fixed BAU job will work perfectly for me. So try to reflect on these questions, take a couple of weeks to think about it, and even if you can't narrow it down to jobs that you like, it's probably going to help you to narrow out and eliminate jobs that you won't like. Step 2 is getting external feedback. So after you've done a little bit of self-reflection, it's time to consider external feedback as well, because more often than not, we are our harshest critic. So the first person you can ask is your manager. Think about all the times you've had your performance appraisal with your manager. What is a common strength or a common weakness that keeps coming up every time during a performance review? That will be a helpful guide to help you figure out the type of roles you'll be better at and the type of roles that you won't be so good at. So to use myself as an example, I always got feedback that I needed to be less shy, which was really a problem in my previous role because I was in sales. I was always told that I should raise my own profile, I should speak up, and I should make myself noticed so that I'll be able to get promoted and clients will like me more. But to me, I felt really uncomfortable doing it because it just didn't feel natural, and that's when I knew that a sales job would not be as suitable for me. After you've asked your managers, you can also ask your friends and you have to ask your colleagues as well, because even though your managers and your colleagues see and work with you in a professional setting, your friends also see you in a more relaxed setting outside, and they may notice things about you that you may not even know about yourself, and they can be helpful to you if they are pointed out to you. The third step is to just try out everything that you like with as little commitment as you like. Here's what I like to call a commitment scale to trying things out. You start with the easiest, lower commitment, which is to start an online course. For example, if you've always done finance and you're thinking of moving into tech, maybe to work as a product manager, maybe you can take some courses in product management, and these will be self-paced and guided, so it doesn't require a lot of commitment for you, and you can do this in your own time. And then once that works out for you, you can gradually move on to doing your own project for someone else for free, and this would be self-paced, but it would be guided because you'll be taking instructions from someone else, and this is the next step. And then the final progression at the other end of the spectrum is doing it as a full-time job. And that's when you constantly have to work with requirements and you have deadlines that's given to you. I think it's very important to try things out like this, especially when thinking of making a pivot, because more often than not, you'll realize that whatever you like doing as a hobby may not be that suitable for you as a job. And it can also work vice versa. For example, while I do like editing videos in my own time, I may not like doing it as a full-time job, because doing it as a full-time job will involve other elements that I may not be a fan of. For example, if I edit videos for someone else and I get paid for it, I need to follow their deadlines and I need to follow their editing styles, and there's a lot of creative freedom that becomes out of my control. Now, a very important piece of advice that I want to share is that you really shouldn't be afraid to abandon your projects or your courses, or feel like you must stick it through and persevere, because at this stage you must be ready and willing to try fast and quit fast. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to experiment with many different career options, many different tracks, so you don't want to stick to something and waste even more time once you figure out that it doesn't work for you. Lastly, step 4. Once you have a couple of roles shortlisted, I find the next framework that I'm going to show you pretty helpful. So what you can do is you can take a couple of roles that you have in mind here, like this, and then you start thinking of criteria that's important for you. For example, for me, what I value in a job is job security, progression, work-life balance, and I want a job that teaches me highly transferable skills. I don't want to be in a job that's too niche. So these are the criteria that I've listed out, and then what I do is I rank each of them by a scale of 1 to 10. And then at the end, you kind of rank them, you total the score, and then you'll be able to see for yourself which is the job that suits you the most. For me, once I did the ranking, it became a lot clearer to me the type of roles that will be more suitable for me, and then it became a lot easier for me to figure out the next steps. Hopefully this quick video is able to help you get started. If you found it helpful or you have other tips to share, please do leave a comment below. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!